Part 60. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 591. In order to recover his legs as soon as possible, Suchen put on his helmet, plugged in the power, and turned on the switch. After a slight buzzing sound passed through my mind, a pleasant female voice came. Scanning cerebral cortex patterns, scanning completed. Identity verification completed. Would you like to ask if helmet binding is required? Bind. Suchen thought. Please wait, binding successful. Please name your game character. Sunny. Sure. Sure. Call. The screen suddenly switched to a row of professional warriors of different colors, including men and women. The men were all brave and tall, and the women were all beautiful and enchanting. Please choose a gaming career. There is a detailed career introduction next to each professional warrior for selectors to preview. The occupations in Miracle are nothing more than melee and long range. Melee includes shield, mad warrior, paladin, and assassin, and long range includes hunter, priest, mage, and wizard. The shield is a tank, the mad battle is pure physical output. Paladin is half combat and half magic, and can heal single targets. Assassins have many escape skills and strong explosive power. Hunters can bring pets, and their long-range physical output is high. The pastor is the super nanny. The mage is a pure magic output. The wizard's control skills are numerous and powerful. In his previous life, Suchen was a level 192 Shenguo Kuangzhan, and he was still 8 levels short of Shenguo Kuangzhan. At that time, what he lacked was not his skills, but his level. In this life, there will no longer be such regrets. Fight wildly. Suchen chose this career without hesitation. Sure. Sure. Ding. Game characters and game names are automatically bound. Ding. There are still 28 hours, 57 minutes, and 23 seconds left before the official operation of Miracles. You can choose to experience the 10-minute trailer first. Do you have any experience? Suchen chose to experience it without hesitation. The trailer can be experienced multiple times. In addition to riding a flying mount to survey the vast miraculous continent, you can also personally experience fighting against wild monsters in a specific area. And Suchen just wanted to fight against wild monsters. Monsters come to fight. In the game, as long as your brain is still good, you are a person with sound limbs in it. In turn, when you get used to the settings in the game, your brain will also subconsciously think that the body is also healthy. It will continuously release bioelectric currents to your body according to the signals transmitted by the brain. Suchen's paralyzed legs recovered unknowingly under this situation. Since there are still nearly 29 days before the official start of the game tomorrow for an hour, Suchen rode on a pterosaur and enjoyed the magnificent scenery of the mainland. Then he entered the novice training area to fight a little wild boar. The little wild boar, level 0, health 20, physical attack 1-2. Physical defense 1. Suchen smelled the fresh air in the game and looked at the naive and lifelike little wild boar in front of him. Suchen was wearing a novice outfit without any attributes, waving his fists and attacking the little wild boar. Thump, with a sound, Suchen fell face first to the ground before he hit the wild boar. Suchen smiled bitterly. He had forgotten that his current body and the attributes of the game character were too poor. The superb reaction speed and skill in his previous life were not at all. It is not what I can adapt to now, nor can I bring out the attributes of my current level 0 character. It is the result of more than 4 years of training in the game. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 592. Chapter 592, Restore Body Memory. In desperation, Suchen stretched his body first. In the game, his legs were so flexible that he could use his fingers like arms. Punch and kick, roughly feel the character's agility and strength, and punch the little boar in the eye. Dash. The little wild boar, which was still squeaking on the grass, immediately rushed towards Suchen with the ouch sound and stuck out its little fangs. Dodge. Suchen made a slightly clumsy move to avoid the little wild boar's attack, and then kicked the little wild boar on the butt. Dash. The little wild boar turned around awkwardly, plowed the grass twice, and then rushed towards Suchen. Dodge. Another kick, and a -1 damage appeared on the little wild boar's head again. More than 20 seconds later, the little wild boar fell to the ground with a ouch and died, while Suchen was still full of blood. This kind of mob used for experience does not give experience or drops, and is only used for training. When ordinary players experience this period, they are often chased all over the ground by small wild boars, and then they are killed by the wild boars. Many experiences players who have passed this period have complained that the game company has set the monsters too strong. Novice level 0 players only have 10 health points, but the monsters have 20 points. This is different from the previous domestic games where people can easily upgrade to 10 levels. Too big. However, the official website of Miracle immediately issued a warm reminder: the play is completely simulated and real. You guys understand? Soon, someone posted a video of a successful single pig on the internet, and the person ended up with a little blood in a thrilling kill the little wild boar. In less than 10 minutes, someone posted a video. After killing the little wild boar, half of the blood was left. Since then, there has been a competition on the internet to kill the pig. Whoever has more blood left in the end can often win many people. The envy and admiration of the little wild boar. However, as the little wild boar exists as a level 0 monster, it is very easy to dodge its attacks. As the monster level increases, their movements become more and more agile and fast. If you want to dodge their attacks like a little wild boar, attacking is not so easy. Suchen took the trouble to kill the little wild boar over and over again. He was not only looking for the feeling in the game, but also to allow his legs to recover as soon as possible. It was 8 o'clock the next day. The epoch-making online game masterpiece Miracle that millions of people are looking forward to officially operates simultaneously globally. And once it is operational, everything in the game will be managed by the mastermind. The game operator has no rights or means to intervene, except by blowing up the mastermind's computer hardware. Suchen put on his helmet on time and refreshed as a level 0 berserker in a novice village within the jurisdiction of Suqiao City, one of the 9 major cities in the Tianqiao district. White lights flashed, even though he already knew the popularity of this game. At this time, I couldn't help but click my tongue in my heart. The place where players were born in Novice Village was already crowded with people, and the newly spawned people were crowded dozens of meters away. Suchen spent a lot of effort to squeeze out of the crowd. Although there are many people, the order is pretty good. The main reason is that this game sets a no-touch zone within 1 centimeter of the player's body, so there is no need to worry about being taken advantage of by male perverts and female perverts. Most of them, after players come to Novice Village, they always go to NPC to take on tasks immediately, lest they upgrade a step later than others. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. N. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 593. Chapter 593 Game Bug. Tormenting the Stone Lizard. In the wild monster area, there are more people than monsters. As soon as the wild monsters spawn, they are overwhelmed by all kinds of punches and kicks around them. However, the first novice mission is not allowed to be completed in a team. It is really difficult to complete the number of kills. Word. Suchen didn't accept the mission. He knew that there would be a small plot where the NPC would give you the opportunity to choose a novice weapon. Although the attack is very low, it is much better than using bare hands. Suchen walked from the east end where the village chief was to the west end and saw an old woman with grey hair sitting in front of her house, threading needlework. Unfortunately, he was old and his eyesight was dim, so he couldn't put it on for a long time, which made the old man sigh in anxiety. Suchen walked up and said, "Mother-in-law, let me thread the thread for you." The old lady looked at Suchen happily and said, "That's great. Thank you, young man." Suchen quickly threaded the thread and handed it to the old lady. The old woman was getting older and was always nagging while sewing. She often had to repeat one thing 2 or 3 times. But Suchen still sat patiently and listened to her chatter. 20 minutes later, a muscular middle-aged man walked over shirtless with the title of blacksmith apprentice on his head. The middle-aged man came over and bowed to Suchen, thanking him, "Little brother, thank you for spending so much time with my mother. These are some of my thoughts. You can choose one of them." A selection box appeared in front of Suchen, which contains various weapons for various professions, but because they are all made by blacksmith apprentices, they are very rough and inferior. Suchen chose an inferior spear with a physical attack of 2-3, an attack range of 3 meters, and an attack frequency of 2 seconds. With this spear, Suchen's original points instantly increased 3 to 4 times, reaching 3-4 points. However, he did not equip the weapon immediately so as not to attract others. Quickly walking out of the novice village and passing through the 2nd and 4th level wild monster areas, Suchen came to a rocky area. The ones refreshed here are all level 5 swings. After searching around carefully, I finally found the stone pillar that overlapped with my memory. This stone pillar is 3 meters high and can barely accommodate a person standing on it. There is a small hole at the top of the stone pillar. Suchen climbed up and hugged the stone with a diameter of less than a foot at the top. After his feet were firm, he freed up one hand to pick up a stone and threw it into the small hole. He hid behind the stone pillar. Sissy. A black shadow suddenly jumped out of the cave. But it was too excited and forgot that the outside of the cave was empty. It fell onto the pile of rocks under the stone pillar with a pop and was angry at Suchen on the stone pillar. Nessing. Suchen took a closer look and saw that it was a level 5 stone lizard that had somehow been refreshed in the cave by the game mastermind. This was a game bug discovered by a board player in the previous life. The game said that the stone lizard could not climb close to the vertical direction. Object. Suchen stood on the stone pillar. This stupid stone lizard could only bark at Suchen and could not make any substantive threatening actions. Suchen laughed, hugged the top of the stone pillar, and put on inferior equipment with his spear. He bent down, and the 3-meter-long spear point just hit the stone lizard. Dash. Stone lizard, life 700, physical defense 3, physical attack 100-120. Suchen's current attack is 3-4, which just breaks its defense. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 594. Number 594, ranking number 1. The stone lizard was poked by the spear and screamed continuously, but it could not bite anyone at all. This made its low defense and high attack setting completely a decoration. -0. Dash. Dash. Half an hour later, the stone lizard's health was exhausted and it let out a mournful cry, which contributed a lot of experience points to Suchen. Suchen leapfrogged the level and killed monsters, and the experience bonus was 200%. Boom. Boom, with 2 sounds, Suchen's body lit up with colorful beams of light, and he was directly upgraded to level 2 with 80 experience points. Every time the character upgrades to a level, the blood volume automatically increases by 10, and 5 points of free attribute rewards are given. Level 0 objects accept 10 points of blood and 1, except for attack points the rest are 0. Attribute points include intelligence, agility, strength, and physique. Every point of intelligence added increases mana by 15 points and spell damage increased by 1 point. Every point added of agility increases movement speed by 0.5% and movement speed by 0.3%. The attack speed and 0% critical hit. For every point of strength added, the physical attack is increased by 1 point. For each point of constitution added, the health value is increased by 10 points and the defense point is increased by 1 point. The critical hit damage is 200%. Suchen does not hesitate. Add all 10 attribute points to strength. Suchen's attack power suddenly increased by a large amount. This is also a new and common method of adding points for physical output professions. After all, without weapons, 1 point of attack power is even more powerful than 2 points. Level monsters can't break through the defense. At this time, Suchen's health is only pitiful. The lizard can only touch him to save his life, and the physical attack has reached 13-14. Now the speed of monster spawning is suddenly faster. 3-1 is solved every minute. The stone lizard in the small cave of the stone pillar refreshes 1 every 2 minutes. During this interval, Suchen climbed down the stone pillar to pick up the copper coins, equipment and materials dropped by the stone lizard. As an ordinary monster, the stone lizard does not drop much money. Suchen usually only drops 1 copper coin after killing 3 stone lizards. 1 gold coin is equal to 100 silver coins and 10,000 copper coins. But the stone lizards often drop lizard tails, which are good things. Get them from the pharmacist in Novice Village. 3 hours later, Suchen reached level 5. More than 30 stone lizards contributed 11 copper coins, 35 lizard tails and 3 pieces of equipment to him. Stone lizard leather armor, whiteboard defense add 18, requirement level 5, strength 5, agility 1. Stone lizard tooth ornament, whiteboard defense add 9, requirement level 5. Stone lizard poison sword, bronze physical attack 40-50, attack frequency once 1.5 seconds, special effect, 10% chance of giving to the enemy when poisoned, blood loss is 5 per second, lasts for 3 seconds, and cannot be superimposed. Suchen keeps the stone lizard tooth ornaments and the stone lizard poison sword for himself. The stone lizard leather armor cannot be worn by himself, and the crazy battle and shield armor can only wear armor. You can take it out and sell it. Everyone has only entered the game for less than 4 hours now, and all kinds of equipment are in very short supply. Suchen is no longer here to level up. Once he reaches level 5 and then wants to upgrade, he has to grind dozens or hundreds of a stone lizard. Secondly, the stone lizard in the small cave of the stone pillar refreshes too slowly. Considering Suchen's current attack, it delays his leveling time. In the final analysis, this trick is only suitable for people below level 5. The higher the level, the better. Suchen first went to novice village pharmacist Guo Shen to exchange 35 lizard tails for 350 copper coins, which is 3 silver coins and 50 copper coins, and instantly made a small fortune. This is the only place in novice village. A place to get money quickly, but this NPC is not hidden. The price list for buying and selling various medicinal materials is clearly placed there. As long as they are not fools, no one will throw away such valuable medicinal materials. Open the player level ranking of Suchao City on the list. Suchen is ranked first. The player rank second is only level 3_. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 595. Chapter 595 Re-entering the small world. I'll paralyze you. Suchen thought for a while and quit the level ranking list that he had joined by default. He just wanted to make a fortune in silence and didn't want to attract attention, especially his unique methods of making money through leveling. Also choosing to hide his personal level and name information, Suchen stood on the roadside and started shouting. But the shouting lasted only 2 minutes. He felt an inexplicable suction pulling his soul upwards. Just at this time, a player came over to buy something. "Hello? Brother, how do you sell this equipment?" Hey. Brother. Fell asleep? Why don't you speak?" Suchen watched helplessly as the player in front of him who urged him turned into little stars and scattered. Then, the entire online game world collapsed into countless fragments. Finally, he returned to a familiar small world. Luo Shen smiled. "This is the fastest time to perfect the soul filaments, but it may take a little longer. This time is a historical world you have never experienced before. I don't know how you will deal with it." Suchen smiled. "It doesn't matter, just this time, just focus on the 3 strands of soul filaments." It should be faster. At that moment, Luo Shen opened a small historical world that had just been created, and Suchen brought the 3 strands with him. The flawed soul filaments condensed into a clone that was exactly the same as himself and entered it. After a while, the world was spinning. A sharp laughter suddenly came from outside the house. Suchen was awakened, lying on the bed and taking a deep breath, frowning, and an unknown fire sprang up in his heart. "I just can't sleep in this university dormitory. There are people screaming and confessing their love in the middle of the night, there are people turning on the dryer, and there are people yelling and going crazy early in the morning. Not to mention at noon, the ball player can shake the ground of the entire building. People greeting each other in the corridors are just like lighting up firecrackers, they are all yelling. What kind of people are these?" Suchen irritably pulled up the quilt to cover his head, trying to hypnotize himself. He had finished translating foreign documents last night and was exhausted. "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha." The high-pitched laughter is as unsettling as the buzzing of mosquitoes inside a summer mosquito net. Finally, Suchen couldn't bear it anymore, poked his head out from the bed, closed his eyes and roared, "I'll make you paralyzed." The laughter stopped suddenly. After a while, it seemed that the whole world became quiet. Suchen didn't think much, turned over and continued to sleep. There were footsteps approaching quietly, but Suchen didn't care, no matter who he was. "Graduation is about to begin, and not to mention a few guys in my dormitory, the graduates of the entire grade are like dragons. Maybe you suddenly found an extra person in the bed next to you when you went to pee in the middle of the night. Maybe when you went to have breakfast early in the morning, you met a haggard-looking guy who had just returned from an all-nighter at the internet cafe. Senior year, senior year." With countless complaints, Suchen fell asleep again. Suchen, who was sleeping very soundly, did not notice that the pig nest he lived in had changed. The yellowing quilt that had been covered in college for 4 years turned into a shiny and soft brocade quilt, and the gray and shriveled pillows turned into square-shaped naughty gold silk pillowcases. In the room of less than 20 square meters, the other 3 pig nests are missing. The room is filled with purple and black furniture and furnishings. The furniture and furnishings are all exquisitely carved, and you can feel the heavy workmanship, which is not ordinary. Affordable for home use. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. N. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 596. Chapter 596. A Strange World. Gently, a beaded curtain parted, revealing a cautious and pretty face. "Madam, it seems that she really fell asleep." A girl in palace clothes poked her head, looked at the sleeping Suchen, turned around and reported softly. "Humph, what kind of mother gives birth to what kind of son? A gorgeous lady who was in her early 30s but looked like she was only in her 20s squinted her eyes and sneered coldly, then pointed at the girl in palace clothes and shouted. "Why are you so careful? Are you still afraid of waking him up? Pour me some tea to wake me up. I've been teaching for a whole day but I still can't do it. I'm as stupid as a pig and I sleep like a pig. It's really an insult to the royal family." The girl in palace clothes did not dare to do what the empress said. She stepped forward and pushed Suchen, who was sleeping and drooling. Seeing that there was no reaction, she pushed hard a few times. Suchen opened his eyes in a daze, and didn't notice. He stared at the sky without focus for a long time before he came back to his senses. An unknown fire burned in his chest again, and his anger level almost exploded. He turned his head and glared in search of the target. "You know, if you fall asleep again after being woken up, you will be woken up again. Wake up, how many people can tolerate this kind of thing? Let's not say anything about getting up, is it so difficult to finally get some sleep?" At this moment, Suchen has already killed this noisy guy in his heart. "Ah! Girl!" The moment Suchen saw the girl, his anger level instantly dropped to 0. After staring at the girl for a long time, he asked, "Who are you? Why are you here in the boys' dormitory?" The girl was stunned, looking at the sky with a strange expression, and heard the mother's urging from behind. "What are you doing there? Call him over quickly." "Yes." The girl promised softly, put aside her emotions and said to Suchen, "Get up quickly, the queen has asked you to do something." Suchen's eyes widened, and then he saw that this girl's clothes were a little weird. Is this hanfu? Or kimono? Or clothes? Then he saw the gorgeous retro bedroom around him that was very different from his own pig's nest-like bedroom. Suchen's eyes widened even more. "What's going on? Why are you staring? I'll slap you if you don't get up." The lady outside was impatient to wait, so she came in and was furious when she saw Suchen's expression. Suchen's eyes widened again. "Haha, what an amazing situation today, cute girl, pretty girl, why are you running in front of me? The beauty wants to whip me? School brother, it's not like a mother doesn't feel sorry for her child. It's true that you are such a disobedient child, and you try your best to trick people. People say that a loving mother often loses her children, so don't blame the mother for being cruel today, it's all for your own good." The beautiful woman put one hand on the water snake's waist and waved it around with the other hand. Suchen didn't understand what this beautiful woman meant, so he looked at her blankly, looking at her whole body, including the clothes and jewelry on her head and hands, as well as the beautiful earrings dangling from her face. "Pa!" The beauty gave Suchen a real slap. The beauty's fingernails were a bit long, and when she scratched Suchen's face, there were 5 red marks, which hurt. "Damn you, you're pretty cool. Are you sick?" Suchen lifted up the quilt and slapped her back. Suchen usually didn't hit women, but he couldn't bear the inexplicable muteness like today. The sound of Suchen's slap sounded crisp. The beautiful woman was stunned. The girl on the side covered her mouth and widened her eyes as if she couldn't believe what was happening in front of her. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 597. Chapter 597. Damn it. You. I, what am I? You are still justified in hitting someone for no reason. After a while, the beauty came to her senses, covered her face with one hand, pointed at Suchen with the other and screamed. "How dare you hit your mother?" Suchen replied immediately without thinking. "What's wrong with your father if I just beat you?" The beauty was so angry that her whole body was trembling. She pointed at Suchen and her lips were trembling but she couldn't speak. The girl next to her seemed to be petrified. Not wanting to be like the shrew, Suchen stood barefoot on the ground and looked around for clothes and shoes. Where are my clothes? Where are my shoes? Su Chen was confused. This place is really weird, and this person is perverted. I was really doing my final project last night, so I didn't drink. Why did everything change when I woke up? The beauty is gone, and so is the girl. Chen couldn't find his clothes. Seeing how high-end the room looked, he didn't dare to move anything around. Fortunately, I was wearing a white silk underwear. I don't know who it belongs to, but it was quite comfortable to wear. He opened the curtain and walked out, only to find that this was an inner room, with a small living room outside. There was another room outside the living room, but he didn't know how big the place was. The furnishings in each room are antique, and Chen, a science student, couldn't tell that he was ugly. Instead, there were two women standing on both sides of the door. The men all have fair faces and no beards, and are fairly normal. However, their heads are long. Through the hats on their heads, you can see that the hair inside is all lumpy. How long have you been without a haircut? Both men and women were of the same color and would kneel down when they saw Chen approaching. This startled Chen, and he hurriedly pulled them up, complaining in his mind about which hotel this was. It really lost all dignity to train employees like this. I looked at the house outside and had no idea where it was. Chen asked an honest-looking old man who was also standing by the door and said, "Uncle, where is this? Why am I lying in that room?" The old man knelt down on the ground with a plop, his head was pounding. "Your Highness, this old slave does not deserve to be called Your Highness like this. Your Highness called the old slave like this. The old slave has lost at least 30 years of his life." Chen was shocked. How could the employees here be so virtuous and kneel down at every turn? After pulling and pulling him, he finally managed to lift the old man up. He cursed angrily. "What's the name of this place? Uncle, tell me, if you don't post this online, my surname will not be Su. How can you abuse people like this? The boss here is so evil that he doesn't care about any etiquette, justice, or shame." Plop, the old man knelt on the ground again, and this time Chen couldn't pull him up no matter what. The old man just lay on the ground, with runny nose and tears, saying that he didn't live long, and there were still several children in the family to take care of. There are still unfulfilled wishes and so on. Chen was so worried that he hurriedly called the brothers and sisters who were watching the theater next to him to come over and help and persuade this old man. I am afraid that this old man has been brainwashed by the black-hearted boss, and it is like this now. Bizarre performance. Unexpectedly, those men and women didn't say anything. They knelt down one by one with their heads on the ground and didn't speak. Chen was so scared at that time that his hair stood on end. Damn it! Never before I've seen this kind of battle before. I escaped from this weird hall and passed through one room after another, but I couldn't find the exit. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. N. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 598. Chapter 598. Is it going to fall off if I wipe my head? Wandering around, I returned to the living room and saw the group of men, women, and the old man who were about to get up slowly, but when they saw Chen running over, they quickly knelt down and plopped down. Mother! Could it be the ghost in Uncle San's tomb? Robber's notes breaking the wall? There are so many ghosts. It's everywhere. Chen's back was wet. He pinched himself countless times secretly, and felt real pain every time. Looking back at the dim room, it seemed to be daytime outside, but there were still red candles burning inside. Chen was scared, really scared. Tap tap tap, footsteps came from outside, and Chen was startled. It turned out that the beauty and the girl came in, followed by an old man. At first, when he saw the beauty and the girl, his heart was twisted for a while, but now no matter how you look at it, you feel that this person has a ghostly air, which makes people panic. Especially the beautiful woman's expression, which is so dead. If you learn mathematics, physics, and chemistry well, you will not be afraid of traveling all over the world. If you learn mathematics, physics, and chemistry well, you will not be afraid of traveling all over the world. Suchen silently recited the 12-character mantra. School brother, today in front of Wangan, please repeat what you just said. Say it to me. The beauty looked unkind. The old man behind the beauty knelt down to Suchen and said, Your Highness. Suchen seemed to be concerned about the kneeling. He stood there without saying anything, with a nervous face and a confused mind. It seems that this beauty she is the boss here, and she doesn't know if she should steam or boil her. She just hopes that her body, which she hasn't bathed in for 7 days, will make her sick to death, and finally she can keep it all. Seeing that Suchen didn't answer, the beauty urged her again. After trying it again, Suchen still didn't answer. Then the old man behind said, Madam, look at how nervous your highness is, with sweat on his forehead. With that said, the old man took out a handkerchief and wiped Suchen's sweat. Suchen yelled in his heart, You damn thing, wipe your sister, wipe your sister, wipe your sister, rub your scalp to see if it's gone, wipe your head to see if it's going to fall off. The old man finished wiping. Khan smiled again and said, Your Majesty, your Highness is only 16 years old now, so the child is just making trouble with his mother, just like the day in June, which cannot be taken seriously. It is said that the Empress is good to His Highness, and all the ministers see the Chun teachings of His Highness, and they are always sighing and sighing. After a few words, the beauty's face melted, but she didn't look happy. It seemed that this temptress was not easy to fool, but Suchen was confused. This old man doesn't look like a Taoist from Lashan who is a promising cultivator of immortality. How can he put in a good word to save himself? Seeing that Suchen's eyes were rolling but his mouth was silent, the beauty secretly gave him a fierce look. He lowered his eyes and said calmly, Wangan, what can I do if you come here today? Wang. And bowed and said with a smile, Ha ha, the civil and military ministers of the DPRK and all the distinguished nobles are waiting for His Highness in the Wenhua Hall to pay tribute. Why don't you send this old slave over to the Empress and tell her to come over quickly? His Highness is ill and cannot go. The beauty refused without thinking. Wangan said awkwardly, This, Empress, isn't this a good thing, Your Highness? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 599. Chapter 599 Recover it from me. If you can't catch me, don't come back. The beauty ignored Wangan and turned to Suchen and said, School brother, go back to your room. You just suffered from the wind and cold yesterday. Don't be too tired. Suchen didn't know why the witch called him school brother, but the old man in front of him probably seemed to be kind to him, but he couldn't fulfill the witch's wish, let alone in this ghost mansion. Stayed for a long time. Immediately said, I'm fine, I'm in great shape, look, look. Suchen was afraid that no one would believe him, so he patted his chest vigorously, making a pang-pang sound. Let's go, things like culture and etiquette are important, let's leave quickly, we can't delay others. After that, she pulled the old man's sleeve and left. The beauty was choked by Suchen's performance for a moment. She waited until the man was gone and disappeared, then shouted, Chase! Get it back to me! If you can't catch me, don't come back. All the men and women rushed out in a hurry. Later, Suchen found out that the temptress was not a cannibal, but the harem attendant Li Xian, a woman from the Mingguang sect, and his nominal adoptive mother. The men in that room were not men in the real sense, they were eunuchs in the harem. The anger of the men and women who kneel down when they see him is not born with them, nor is it instigated by some evil boss. They really want to kneel to themselves, and if they don't kneel down, they will really die. But Suchen doesn't know that now. He just grabbed one of the sleeves of the old man, the eunuch Wangan, and almost dragged Wangan away. Wangan was already in his 50s, and his health had always been weak. How could he compare to Suchen, a young man who kept shouting, "Your Highness, slow down, this old slave's bones can't stand up to the bumps." Suchen didn't care. Legend has it that all the wise monks pretend to be pigs and eat tigers like this, shouting oh, 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 at, oh. Wangan didn't know what Suchen was thinking. He only knew that when he ran for a while, his old habit relapsed and he kept coughing. Fortunately, with Wang An's guidance, he walked out of this messy big house after a while, and a man appeared outside. In a large square, several men dressed like all the men in the room hurriedly came forward to greet Suchen, and then supported Wang An. Suchen saw someone skillfully taking out a pill and water, and served Wang An to drink. Then I was half convinced and doubtful whether this old man was really weak. And looking at the battles in front and behind, I am afraid that this old man's status is not low. I didn't expect that this old man had to kneel down when he saw me just now. Only one came out, others called it to clear the door, and not long after, the people inside came after them. Looking at the crowds of people behind him, Suchen secretly hated this temptress for being such a snake-hearted woman and causing so many brats to take advantage of him. He couldn't wait for this. The slow old man, Suchen ran away without any sense of loyalty. Anyway, the old man had a sword to fly with. Suchen was just trying to justify his unjust act. He ran out of the Jianqing gate and passed through Hengzhi. He was stopped by a few young men behind him. It turned out that the old man Wang An couldn't run on his own, so he called a few smart and sensible eunuchs to follow the prince. They just came out of Jianqing Palace, and they were so majestic and high-spirited just now. Eunuch Wang held his chest and coughed non-stop. The little eunuch hurriedly beat his back with a light and skillful technique _Fei. Lu reminds you, 3 things about reading: collect, recommend, and share. N. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 600. Chapter 6. Am I the prince? Suchen didn't speak for a while. From the time Wang An entered to the time everyone left the Jianqing Palace, it only took 3 or 4 minutes. In just 3 or 4 minutes, the nerve cells in his brain were running at high speed. It is undeniable that the moment Suchen saw Wang An, he was shocked by his aura. Then what shocked me even more was a crazy thought: this kind of person can appear. It's all true. I'm really not me anymore. I seem to have traveled through time. Depend on. Calm down. Stay calm, stay calm. Suchen couldn't help but hint to himself. This is the most critical moment and the most dangerous moment. Think carefully about the words you heard from the beginning. Well, they called me Your Highness, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Damn, I am also a Crown Prince? Wait, this should be Country Z, not some grassroots prince with no corners. Also, their clothes, hair, oh, fortunately it is not the Yuan dynasty, not the braided dynasty. Wenhua Palace? Holy shit, the forbidden city of the Ming dynasty. Ah! What the eunuchs who accompanied His Highness the Crown Prince didn't know. His Highness, who looked calm on the outside and occasionally had unnatural facial twitches, was so wild inside at this moment. A group of timid eunuchs ran out of the Qianqing palace. They looked at His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Wang An, who had walked to the Qianqing gate, feeling filled with grief and anger. There will be no burial place in the future, and there will be no possibility of survival in the future. Everyone looked eagerly at Li Jinzong, who was favored in front of Li Suanji. Li Jinzong scolded his mother in his heart. He had no choice. As a slave of his master, he had to do some hard work to beg for food. He bravely caught up with the prince and others, holding Suchan's sleeves with his hands and pleading to Wang An with a shy face. "Your Majesty! Father-in-law! Ancestor! Just let His Highness go. If you leave like this, your life will be lost." Being dragged by an eunuch, Suchan looked unhappy and secretly rejoiced in his heart. "Fortunately, brother, I am more familiar with things in the late Ming dynasty. The carpenter Tiankai and the unlucky Chongzhen were often the targets of my brother. Looking at this situation, I have traveled through time and become the carpenter Emperor Tiankai." He knew that Wang An was a good and upright eunuch from Wanli to Tiankai. As for Li Jinzong? Is this guy the unevolved version of Wei Zhongxian? Darling, let me catch you today. You can change your name and become a god to do 9,000 things. The days of New Year's Eve are far away. Suchan tried his best to brush away Li Jinzong's hand, and warned him with an expression of obvious disgust, "If you dare to touch me again, don't blame me for being rude." Wang An and the servant next to him, who had been afraid to say anything, looked at Suchan in surprise, and Suchan immediately lost his momentum. In history, the Apocalypse Emperor Zhu Yuxiao lived under the bullying and humiliation of Li Suanji since he was a child, and even his biological mother Wan Karen was beaten to death by Li Xian's waiters, and he developed a cowardly character. This is completely different from his own character. Suchan secretly warned himself, "I am cowardly, I am cowardly." His expression was stunned. After a change, Suchan looked sad and his whole body seemed weak. He stretched out an orchid finger, pointed at the wide-eyed Li Jinzong and said sadly, "You, don't bully others." Hiss, everyone took a breath of air. Although they were a little surprised by His Highness the Prince's words and actions, they didn't care about it at this time. Wang An slowly calmed down his breathing.